is going to be? No. No. Okay, well, let's go ahead and take a look. I cannot remember either, but it's in the syllabus. So on day 1 of this class, we already know when it's going to be. I just want to remind people when it's going to be so that when or where you have to go to get the final exam done.
16th.
Yep, I think it is. Yep, it is the 16th, and the time is from 10:15 to 12:15. So make sure that you have that time slot available, and depending on what you guys want to do collectively, I cannot have one half of the class do it this way and the other half do it the other way. Do you guys want to do it in the lab? If we do it in the lab, it can be open book, open notes, and open web. You can use a spreadsheet to capture the output of your programs. Okay. The only downside is you have to get used to the interface of uploading the file again, which is not much different from your homework assignment. If you know how to turn in the homework assignment, you already know that interface. Okay. So do you guys want to do it on paper or do it on electronically? I would say electronically is better because the traces that we are doing now is longer, and you can also benefit sometimes from copy and paste in the spreadsheet. Yep.
So we just do pretty much like as a homework assignment and upload it to our file?
Yeah. Yeah, except you're doing it, in real time during the exam. But other than that, the interface is almost identical.
Okay.
Not a problem? Okay. So I take it there are no strong objections to doing the final exam in the lab. I will give you guys a practice exam, and you can retake that one as many times as you want. So that will make sure that you guys know what it looks like, what buttons you should click, and what buttons you should not click. Yep.
And it's cumulative, right?
It is cumulative. It is cumulative, but with much more focus to the later stuff than the earlier stuff, which is good for people who do not like the pre and post conditions. It is bad for people who do not like subroutines. Because subroutines is going to be a big component in the final exam. Okay, any questions about that stuff? No? Okay. Now, I understand that some people can sign up for classes already. Have you guys already signed up for your classes? Do you know what classes you should sign up? Okay, so the natural successor of this class is cisp300. Okay. Are those classes still open, or are they already filled up?
They're gone.
They're gone?
Austin's still.
He's great.
Is he?
Sorry?
Okay, well, that's good, because that's what I have on Fridays. So.
Okay, let me just show you guys, what options you have, because I just want to make sure people sign up for classes as soon as you have the opportunity, because otherwise the classes will be gone in no time. It depends. Okay, it really depends. Okay, so for most of you, you are in this class because you have to take cisp360. This class, P300 by itself, is not going to be very helpful for most people. So most people want to move on to cisp360, and the schedule looks really, confusing unless you have been here for a while and you know what these, TVA means. So I'll just kind of briefly go over this so that you guys know what the options are. Okay, the first option is Iraj Subsidiaries class, and this is a full face-to-face class. Okay, this is a fully face-to-face class, which means it is kind of like this class. The lectures is face-to-face, the same amount of lectures as in P300 plus a lab component.
This is closed.
I
think this is closed.
It's already closed?
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Does that mean that the wait list is also gone? You cannot even get onto the wait list?
I checked it out the other day, and it was like, I think, about 14 people, I think.
Wow. That is fast. I checked my classes, for spring. Most of my classes are about halfway, filled up at this point. I did not expect your classes to be like completely gone by this time. Okay, well, if that class is gone, you only have two additional, two choices. Both are taught by Damon Antos. Damon Antos is they're both good instructors. I cannot say really bad things about either one of them. Just different teaching styles. I would say Iraj is more like me, and Antos is more. He has more homework assignments, which is good because it makes you guys practice and practice and practice, and that makes you ready for the next class. After CISP 360. Okay, but the way to read this one is basically the lecture is entirely online. TBA on the schedule means online, which is kind of weird. I wish they do not use TBA, use to be announced, to represent online, but basically that's what it is. In other words, there's no lecture component whatsoever in this class. Okay, so what do you do? During this time, that I normally would be talking about stuff and doing presentations and whatnot. Read, yep. So you're going to be on your own, reading the textbook and also the additional material from the professor. Okay, so keep that in mind. The only part that is online, that is face-to-face, is the lab time, and it is once a week, just like this class. Excuse me. I'm in a time warp zone, I'm already on Friday. So not like this class, not like this class. Okay, it only meets in the lab once a week from 9 to 12 o'clock, 9 to noon basically. But it is not optional. Knowing Damon, I know he will have activities to do during the lab time that will count for points. So you probably want to go to the lab, if you can, because missing the lab is gonna have, you're gonna miss points. But even for the lab, there's still a TBA component, which means normally we have more than 3 hours of lab for a class like this, except in this case, we don't have enough classrooms to allocate, so that's why, even the lab hours are split between online and face-to-face. I would agree. I would agree. It depends. If you have taken, let's say, Visual Basic already, you have some programming background, you know what to expect when you're writing programs, you can probably do most of the stuff online and just go to the lab and finish up whatever else you need to do. But this is going to be a fairly intense class if it is your first programming class other than P300. Okay, and then the same applies to the other one. The other one is also TBA for the lecture part, and the lab part in this one is split between 2 days. It's a Tuesday, Thursday type, so each day they meet for about an hour and a half. Okay, which is usually better because people only have to spend 1 hour and a half, and you can by the end of 3 hours, most people will become like, I can't think anymore, right? But Damon will have activities arranged for the entire 3 hours for the Friday only class. So you have to be mentally ready to handle that much workload, over a 3 hour period. Does that give you a kind of rough idea of the choices? And if the first one is gone, it's not a choice anymore. You can try to get in. Because I don't know how many people do not have the prerequisite. Okay, so if a lot of people do not have the prerequisite, then Iraj will kick those people out on the first day, so people on the wait list may be able to get in. I don't know about these classes. Not with these classes. If you're talking about GE classes and maybe some other classes, maybe, because people sign up for multiple classes. If one goes, they drop the other one. But with these classes, by the time they get to CISP 360, most of these students are fairly committed. So they will try to hang on as long as they can, and So do not count on a lot of people dropping from these classes. Okay. Now you can also, if you cannot get into CISP 360, you don't have to waste a semester. You can move on to CISP 370, which is Visual Basic Programming. It does not fulfill the requirement. In other words, CISP 370 is not equivalent to CISP 360. However, if you cannot get into CISP 360, I would still recommend that you take cisp370, which is Visual Basic Programming, to kind of keep your programming skills, warm. Okay, because the worst thing that can happen is not take any programming class in one full semester, and then in the fall semester you start with C again. That would actually be kind of bad. It would be somewhat brutal to get back into programming code after almost a whole year of no programming activities whatsoever. Okay, I think the VB classes are not as, they still get filled up pretty quickly, if I remember correctly. Is that right? Yeah, so you might want to keep an eye on that one too. Okay, so that's all I have to do. That's all I have to say about programming classes. If you want to do some programming and you cannot even get into cisp370, the only choices left that I can think of are web classes. Most people think, web classes, why do I want to take web classes for programming purposes? Okay, CISW300 is just HTML. There's really hardly any programming components to it, so that's not a programming class. On the other hand, if you move on to 400, that has some programming aspects to it. It does list CISW300 as a prerequisite, but if you can file a prerequisite challenge form to show that to the professors that you have, you know what CISW300 is teaching, and you can get officially exempt, you can get into CISW400. Okay, so that will still give you some programming practice, for one semester, because the worst thing that can happen is no programming whatsoever, and then you pick up. Right. Yeah, but HTML is a standard, and Carol, has open book. She has projects and not exams. So, yeah. Go ahead.
Did they teach PHP here?
Yes, they do, but not next semester. They teach PHP, I think, in the fall only. Yeah, but this will still be a somewhat programming class. It's JavaScript, which is client side. You can still do a lot of programming and do a lot of logic stuff on that side. Okay. Any questions about classes that you can take after this class? Yep.
I just have a question in general. I'm a math major, so what exactly does CISP360 do as far as the math major side?
That's a good question. Okay, the question was, what does CISP360 help in terms of being a math major? So what I'll do is I will go to the UC Davis website and check out their math department and see what classes you have to take over there, just to see whether it coincides with the classes you have to take here.
Yeah, it transfers.
It transfers, but I want to see exactly on that side, what do they need, and what classes they offer from math that will require some sort of programming background. And let's see, what should I do? Academics. And we want to look at general catalog. I guess that may not. That's going to take a while. Okay, index to major degree programs and courses. I think that's better. Go to math. I'm assuming you're in applied math or just general math?
Yeah, that's not it.
It's mathematical and physical sciences and mathematics and applied math. Those are the only three possible choices.
Yeah, I think it was either mathematics, both mathematics and applied.
Okay, so let me just go take a look at applied first. Okay, the program, graduate study. It doesn't show anything. That's really frustrating.